January the 17th, 2025. Guys, I hope everyone is getting ready for these record cold temperatures coming in. And we've got rain that's just a few counties over from us now. It's not that cold. It's 60, feels like 58, but the next couple of days, especially Sunday night, it's going to start getting rough. Be prepared. We got an extra, almost a quart of dried, real good and dry red oak yesterday. And I think that's going to get us through quite a few weeks. But guys, prepare. Now, this is about Donald J. Trump, and something that has kind of confused me, and I think I have mentioned this in a previous video, is why would they spend millions of dollars to build a big presidential inauguration platform outside of the Capitol just to tear it down again when those millions could be spent on the Helene victims or the victims in California or in Florida, any place but a wasted inauguration. And it never made sense to me when you have a perfectly beautiful marble building sitting behind that. And is it they don't want the intrusion or they want to have more people? But to me, it was a very dangerous situation because of, one, the weather, two, open target. Now, one thing I've got to say about this, and what we're talking about is this is a tweet from Trump. Said January 20th cannot come fast enough. Everybody, even those that initially opposed the victory by President J. Trump and the Trump administration, just want it to happen. It is my obligation to protect the people of our country, but before we even begin, we have to think of the inauguration itself. The weather forecast for D.C. and with the wind chill factor could take temperatures into severe record lows. This is an Arctic blast sweeping through the country. I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way. He's talking about not just there, but driving, flying, trying to get there. And maybe they won't have a bunch of Ray-ups running around. Anyway, it is dangerous conditions for the tens of thousands of law enforcement, first responders, police canines, and even horses, and hundreds of thousands of supporters that will be outside for many hours on the 20th in any event you decide to come dressed warmly. Therefore, I have ordered the inauguration address, in addition to prayers and other speeches, to be delivered inside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda, as was used by Reagan in '85. Also, because of very cold weather, the various dignitaries, guests, will be brought into the Capitol. This will be a very beautiful experience for all, and especially for the large TV audience. And I've said from day one, and I said it before J6, don't go to any of these big events having to do with the switch of power, the transfer of power in D.C. ever. Never go to other protests. It's a trap. Protest is only, you know what protests do, guys? They make these elites setting up there feel more powerful. You're begging to them, please, oh, we're in the cold, we're walking out in the rain holding signs, looking foolish. And while your guys are laughing because you think you're untouchable, and most of the times they are, until it becomes a political deal, and then the votes decide it if it's a legal election. Anyway, this event being canceled has its own concerns to me. Now, you know me, I'm a little crazy, but if you guys have ever seen, there's actually two movies that are identical, except one was made in Korea, one was made here. Both the same topics, the Korean president and the U.S. president. Anyway, the rotunda gets blown up in both movies. I've seen them both. And then one person is found in the ashes several days later, and they will supposedly be the ones to come into power, except for, I think, the Secretary of State or someone like that takes over initially. But then they found out the rotunda was blown up on purpose for a big change in power. Anyway, it's called Designated Survivor. Guys, if you haven't seen it, check it out, because what they did, they had it all inside. And that thing got blown. Everyone in it was killed except one of the designated survivors that was part of the bomb plot that was left the big rotunda there and went downstairs to a hidden site that was newly built that was bomb protective. Then several days later, he dug himself out as a survivor. But the cameras showed him there up for the speeches, And then it showed he couldn't have left. And then they found out that the cameras had been tampered with. There were a few missing minutes. When they found those minutes, that guy got up and left and went out. Anyway, it is a movie that has stuck in my head because of the dangers of what we're seeing, especially during these inaugurations and any transfer of power. But again, the weather's going to be bad. We're going to actually look at it on that day. But is there an outside threat? You got helicopters running patterns over the nation as we speak, and they are setting up a radiation signature pattern. What that does is it gives them a background to go from. In other words, they're scanning everything now, looking at the radiation that's coming from whatever. It's going to be some in places, I guess, different manufacturing, power plants, whatever. But now that they've got it, or they're mapping it out onto their computers, these are helicopter pilots, that will give them a quick change or a beep on their screen if they're flying back over during the inauguration or just before it, of any change of a dirty bomb or any type of radiation and probably other things that have been snuck in. And that blimp or whatever will stand out from their pre-mapped scale or their scans there, guys. In other words, is there something different than the small radiation and changes that they had picked up? You can have that in a lot of different ways. So that's what they're doing now. But she's saying, of course, it may be weather, or it may be something else. And this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I have personally attended countless rallies where President Trump spoke in extreme weather conditions from cold to rain to heat, adding, is there a security threat other than extreme cold temperatures? And this goes back to that movie I was talking about, Designated Survivor. Now, I'm not a big fan of that all movies project things, but it has concerned me. It says, I have personally attended these countless rallies, extreme weather, cold heat. Is there a security threat, not only for him, but for the people Marjorie's talking about? And this is the image. It's all fenced up, and the white wall inside is basically hiding the construction over to the right. Again, millions of dollars wasted on pomp and ceremony. Stupid. Same thing in England happens when you got poor people everywhere. It should have never begun. But was it a trap being built? Another Trojan horse, like I said? Don't know. Now they only have, it's 3 days. You got Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. You got 2 days, really, in the rest of this one till all of this begins. But I'd like to hear what you think about it. It may be a master chess move, not only because of the weather, because it's stupid to be outside in those weathers, in that type of weather. I'm sorry to say that, but it is. If you can help it. Some people get stuck. You got to do certain things, but just to go out into a big ceremony and record-breaking wind chills, that's stupid. Sorry. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this. I think both sides are scrambling. I'm glad it's going inside. I just wish he had said, no, we're going to do it in Mar-a-Lago. And then had all of his Secret Service that's supposedly trusted, assigned to him, plus his own security there where no one could penetrate it, especially fools out in the bushes. But that would have been the way to do it. But I think he's thinking that would come back to haunt him. In other words, it's a national thing. It's always been held here. Let's do it again. I can see the point there, but maybe they'll empty some of these buildings and turn them into museums or something like that. Maybe apartments for the veterans and people that are homeless. Who knows? I know it's a big waste, and it's a big symbol of Rome and paganism and control and taxation and terror and horror of how they treat the citizens that do not go along with their agenda. Guys, we're watching this. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe. Oh, by the way, let me back up. Some of you guys watched the confirmation hearing for Christy Noem this morning of South Dakota, the one that shot her puppy, said he was untrainable. And her eyes looked really bad. It was like, and I said this, imagine those eyes staring at you inside a FEMA camp because you're untrainable. Kind of like Hillary said. Anyway, they softballed every question. The Dems did, not the Republicans. And someone said, well, it's because they know they're defeated. No. There's something wrong with Noam. I said in the day one after Trump got in that her and Ramaswamy needed to be watched, maybe some more, but her especially. Why he did that, I don't know. I think there's always people that around a president that gives them advice, whether it's good or not, and a lot of it could be very false. But that not one Democrat raised their voice at her. They were very nice and polite, very softball questions. Even the Republicans, of course, they were going to be softball, but it was pretty sickening. Not one hard question. And they were all ended it, we're glad to work with you and all of this. But all things are not right now. Even though we've got the ball in our hands, as we hope, there's still got to be a lot of tares pulled out of this, or weeds pulled. So don't pull any tares yet. Because when you pull the tares, it's over, right? That's what Christ said. I can't pull the tares because the garden they're planted in, my wheat is also planted in. That garden happens to be this planet. So if he destroys the garden, everybody goes. You got to realize that that's what he's talking about there. And what else does he say? In your patience is your virtue. And it is your salvation. And that's because a lot of people are saying Christ comes soon. I understand it. But what he's saying there, Christ saying in that parable, is that you do not want to rush this because there's so many people, even though you and I may be somewhat awake and we love our Father in heaven, we love Jesus, he's got children that are still blinded that he loves. I'm not talking about the serpent seed because I don't think they have much of a chance anyway. Again, born from above, not born again, born from above, from the water and the Spirit. And that was what happened to Mary, okay? Didn't happen to the Kenites. Anyway, this is what we're dealing with. We're watching it very closely, guys. One more thing, I keep forgetting I'm getting old. I wanted to look at that weather for Monday in D.C. You guys be patient with me. Now, this is AccuWeather for D.C. It's 46 degrees currently there and sunny, they're saying. Now, let's go to Sunday night. Notice 119 right there. This is the night before the inauguration. 18 with snow, real feel 8. Coating to an inch of snow early in the evening, colder with clearing, untreated surfaces will be slippery. Again, not talking about a lot of snow, but you've got a high percentage of precipitation. Either way, with any moisture at real feel 8, it's going to be deadly. Everyone's going to be sick. They'd probably come up with a new disease for it. Now, Monday on the 20th, 29 for the high, 7 for the low. Check that out. And let's go to Monday night just to see how it's going to go through the day. Notice it's 0% chance of precipitation. Very cold with sunshine, a few clouds. Start a prolonged cold wave. Bundle up. And then Monday night, as people are either getting to a hotel room there in D.C. or somewhere there across the river over in Crystal City, or flying out. 7 the low that night, real feel the 9. You got 15-mile-per-hour gusts, but the wind is north-northwest, and that may be when the real feel only gets down to 9 that night. But it's terrible weather for people to stand out there, and anybody that lets the people that voted him in office suffer in those kind of conditions is only thinking about their self and their power, not about the people that put them there. But guys, we're watching it. You watch it. Watch for updates. It's a heads up. Be safe.